Okay, here we go.
Man, you were fierce. You went all crazy on him, shouting, "That's my Bulma!"
They said this was going to be better.
And Goku's grand training under Whis begins. I am so ready for this.
A lot of you pointed out in my last video that Lex was the man behind one of my favorite childhood voices, Dr. Neocortex from the Crash Bandicoot series. However, it doesn't matter how amazing the voice actor is, when the script and direction is bad, then there is little that can be done to raise the overall production, at least from a voice acting perspective anyway.
What?
Why yes, Lex, that's a great idea. Why don't I go through each character in the show and, tell you what I think about them.
Called it!
Unlike the first season I endured, I managed to get my hands on every single excruciating second of Bang Zoom's Dragon Ball Super Season 2. Or, as I'm going to affectionately refer to it as, Resurrection F off. Last time I reviewed Bang Zoom's Battle of Claude's arc, and so I thought it was time to finally put this dub to bed. Seeing as I don't think it was renewed for another season. So, let's start with something good. This is... Okay, and now onto the bad.
I am so ready for this.
Alright, fine. There were some actual good voice acting moments in this season of Bang Zoom dub. Most notably with these select characters, Whis, Gohan, Hercule, Bulma, and Vados. I'll focus on the first three. Episode 15, the first episode of this arc, featured a lot of Hercule, and genuinely I'm thankful that it did. Jameson Price honestly has a really good voice for Hercule, and it actually allowed me to get into the story. Something I never thought I'd say for Bang Zoom Entertainment's Dragon Ball Super dub.
Waves of wicked power emanated forth from his muscled body. He crashed down before me.
Whis isn't bad either, taking a lot of influence from the Funimation cast, clearly. So, big props for Doug Airholtz for doing a pretty good job of Whis. Something that allowed me to, again, get into the story of the show. Which I really appreciate considering I had about 5 hours worth of Resurrection F off to watch today. Though now that I think about it, he did have a few weird moments.
Oh my. Oh my.
However, the real hero of this dub has to be Chris Hackney, and he plays... Gohan! Okay, we all know that Gohan, for the majority of Super, got a pretty raw deal. But that doesn't mean this guy doesn't do a great job of voicing Gohan.
You're very sweet, Gohan, but I told you this morning I can handle making dinner.
Nonsense, it's fine. My job is to keep you safe and happy while the little one's still growing in there, okay?
He sounds very natural and comfortable in the role, which was unexpected coming from a show whose main character sounds like this.
Easy on him, shouting, "That's my Bulma!"
I genuinely think this could be my favorite version of adult Gohan. Something about his voice just sounds so youthful and clear. Not that I don't enjoy Kyle Herbert from Funimation's version. I mean, I love that man more than words can wield the matter, but I have to give it to Chris Hickey for his surprisingly good portrayal of Gohan.
No! Piccolo! Please, no! Piccolo!
Ah, Goku.
Gotcha! Holy hell!
I mentioned in my previous worst dub video that Sean Schemmel mentored Lex Lang for the role of Goku. Sean informed me on Twitter that this did not happen, so there's that straightened out. While Lex might be a highly competent and very successful voice actor, bad direction will kill any performance in its wake. And so, Goku still sounds really awkward. I mean, I can see what he's trying to do. Like the other voice actors, he's trying to emulate his Funimation counterpart as best he can. But for some reason, he just ends up sounding like Morty.
She still seems a little... Oh, maybe I better stay out here where it's safe. Oh, but I'm so hungry.
Oh, jeez. Hey, what's going on, fellas? Oh, jeez, man. Nothing, man. We're just hanging out and stuff. I hear that. Oh, jeez.
Another thing you might notice while watching this is that Goku never changes the tone or the volume of his voice. It's like he's stuck in this never-ending cycle of cracking puberty voice, which is the most grating thing you'll ever listen to on your TV.
I keep trying to tell her that the kid's gonna be totally fine with all that Saiyan blood, but every time I open my mouth, she shouts at me to get outside and sit my butt on this tractor.
Oh, jeez. Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Huh? Why would I ever want to hear you?
However, while not nearly as offensive as the Battle of Clods arc, there are times where that classic awful delivery still creeps in.
And Goku's grand training under Whis begins. I am so ready for this.
And that's not even the half of it. Dotted throughout this production, there are these weird audio mistakes. The most obvious one being this.
If you can sense his power level, then you can teleport right to him.
Krillin, you are a genius.
I didn't notice any of this in season 1 particularly, so I will give Bang Zoom the benefit of the doubt here. It's probably just the crappy recordings I'm working with. They are in 4:3 aspect ratio after all. For the first half of this season, Vegeta still suffers from the same thing that plagued his character in the last one. That problem being, he sounds like a fan doing an impression of Christopher Sabat's Vegeta, to whom I love and adore. It's very breathy and overall comes across as forced to me. However, that doesn't carry on throughout the rest of the arc. As many of you already know, episode 18 of Dragon Ball Super could be one of my favorite episodes in anything Dragon Ball period. So, needless to say, I was eagerly awaiting Bang Zoom's rendition of it, for better or worse. And honestly, it wasn't that bad at all. Whis began to sound more natural and Vegeta, stopped sounding like a bad impression. Although it was still a bit breathy for my taste.
No, that may be the last happy thing you ever say. Why don't you turn tail now and run back to Earth before things get too rough for you?
On the other hand, Goku was...
Hey man, if you're just scared to compete with me, I promise I won't rub it in your face when I win.
No chance!
You can't top me.
Well, he was doing his Goku thing, and, the whole thing wasn't that bad, all things considered. It was actually all going really well. Until Frieza came.
So much different than I had imagined. This is how it feels to be reborn.
Yeah, he's, for lack of a better term, shit. Again, very breathy and impressionistic. Nothing offensively, laughably bad, just boring. But it did definitely take me out of the story.
Your every condescending word fuels my hate. Every time you open that mouth of yours, I want to scream! Anything to take my revenge.
So in this section, the voices are pretty bad and really silly. Sort of like the animation in this section. Who said that? I'll reprimand you. You can't diss Dragon Ball Super's animation. How dare you? You can't draw. With that said, while the man voicing Frieza isn't laughably bad, his performance zaps any sense of authority and occasion the Frieza character has. It's hard to describe, but in Bang Zoom's rendition, he just sounds like another henchman. Which one could argue is worse than laughably bad depending on your point of view.
Well, it wouldn't do to keep them waiting.
Aside from those guys, there are a bunch of minor offenses also. Like this awkward delivery of the title card for episode 16.
Vegeta gets apprenticed? Overcome Whis!
Krillin sounds like he's about 17 years old here.
Seriously? You faced down quite a few challenges in your day, but I bet not a single one has been as tough as this is.
It's nowhere near as bad as the first arc, but in reality that made it 10 times harder to watch. The first arc I reviewed was off-the-wall bananas with mistranslations and writing mistakes, while seeming like it was directed by a Cocker Spaniel. And honestly, that was kind of the charm of it all. This rose from laughably bad to yawnfully below average. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd much prefer to watch, say, The Room over Batman vs Superman Fuck You Fight Me. So I guess you could say, this season of Dragon Ball Super was bang doomed from the start. With that said, I will appreciate that while Bang Zoom Entertainment got off to a truly special start, they crossed the finish line with a borderline forgettable blemish on their books. One that I'm sure they thought would vanish soon after from the public memory. But that'll do it for this week, guys. Catch you next week. Thank you so much for watching.
That's my Bulma!